Cody. We've got Ciara Trant in studio to react to the weekend's All-Ireland football quarterfinals. Ciara, very good morning to you.
Morning.
There's only one place to start. Dublin are out in men and in women's football. Galway have been the slayers of the champions in both codes. So the semi-final lineup is Kerry against Armagh and Cork against Galway. Dublin, funnily enough, the only team beaten at home over the course of the weekend, so it does count for something, or it should count for something. I was fully convinced midway through the second half that there was going to be no problems for Dublin to see this out.
Yeah, so was I. I knew it'd be tight. I thought Dublin would get in for more goal chances. I think the team probably rely heavily on nipping a few goals to settle them and see out the game. And in fairness to Galway, Dublin didn't really get in on goal. They didn't really get inside the 14. Whereas Galway are the first team to put 3 goals past Dublin. Like, Dublin hadn't conceded a goal for 5 games, and then Galway put 3 past them. Galway only scored 1 point from play. So, Galway did what they had to do, did it really, really well, but I think Dublin will rue the chances that they missed. Like, they nearly had double the amount of attacks Dublin had, or then Galway had. And they didn't take them.
Right?
Yeah, a lot of wides in the first half, and like you'd take them. You'd go in at half time saying, look, we have all the opportunities. We just need to settle and be a little bit more clinical. But Galway just kept going in the second half, kept going, and usually, like, I'd be of the opinion, even when I was playing, teams will stick with us for 50, 60 minutes, and then in the last 10, 15 we'll kick on and win. And I was convinced that the girls would do that yesterday. And even into extra time, they were a point up halfway through extra time and didn't kick on. And I think Galway should have won it in normal time. They had plenty of opportunities to do it. But yeah, I think it's not really the one that got away from Dublin. It was more so Galway executed their game plan much better. And Dublin just came up short of what they wanted to do.
That Galway going and winning the game piece is very interesting, because there's definitely a mental dominance of Dublin over the rest of the country, given how much you've won over the last few years. Can you explain why Galway didn't suffer that? Is it like a particularly new team? They obviously haven't played each other in massive All-Ireland finals over the past couple of years. It's other teams that have taken the pain at the hands of Dublin in the biggest games. So is there like a freshness about this Galway team? Is there a new freedom?
Probably. I think, they'd nothing to lose. Everybody wrote them off. I certainly did it as well. Dublin and Galway haven't met in the championship since 2019, since the final. So a lot of those Galway girls, particularly the younger ones, probably never played against Dublin in a big championship match. But I think, look, I know it's a massive team game, but I think Nicola Ward was absolutely immense. She was involved in the 3 Galway goals. She was involved in pretty much everything went through her, and Dublin put Niamh Crowley on her. Niamh Crowley is a man marking cornerback. They started her centre forward to mark Nicola Ward, and Niamh Crowley couldn't keep her quiet. I think her leadership, and she kept going. I say the legs have fallen off her. I don't know if she's able to walk today, the amount of work she got through, but I think her leadership was massive for Galway, and she didn't stop going, and that just gave energy to everybody around her. She was phenomenal.
When it comes to the crucial score, 4 minutes left of extra time, Aoife O'Rourke, when you're watching it, it's probably because I'm watching it on TV and I don't actually see the player out of the corner of the screen, but it does look like a point is on. You narrow the deficit, you win the next kick out. It felt ballsy for Galway to fashion the goal chance in that opportunity.
Yeah, she came off the bench, and possibly that she hadn't found her feet in the game yet, so it was just a rush of blood to the head and went for the goal. But she probably should have taken her point, because Galway missed 2 goal chances, could have had a penalty as well. So they weren't getting, although they did score three goals, they could have had 6 or 7 goals and they weren't getting them. So, a fisted ball over the bar probably would have settled it, but,
It was a killer pass inside, really. She obviously saw
the goal was on. Yeah, goal was on, and she buried it, and it's very hard to stop her from that close. I think, maybe Abby Shields could have closed down space a little bit more, but it's just a split second moment of the game. And in fairness, she stuck it in the back of the net, and if it went wide or hit the crossbar, it was a save. I don't know if Dublin would have gone down the other end and put it over the bar. Like,
Did you lose many games with Dublin?
in championship, no, not really. Just my last one,
Just
really.
the last one.
Yeah.
What does
Other than All Ireland finals, lost 20 of them.
what does that feel like when you're a team who's used to winning so much, now having to go through what they've been going through for the last 36 hours or so?
It's look, when you win a quarter final, it's big, and it's semi final. You're on to the next step, and you're going to celebrate it. But I find, and even the Galway celebrations yesterday, and my last match was a quarter final against Donegal, which we lost as well, and just found the celebrations of the crowd and the opposition and all. It was just noisy as opposed to any other loss. Where it's shake hands and clap the players off the field. It's a sickening blow, and for the season to be over so soon. I know there's only 2 matches left, but it's not where you expect yourself to be, and you write off your whole summer because you're fully believe you're going to be in an All Ireland final again, and that's how much faith you put in each other. But yeah, it's I know the girls got together yesterday, but it's I don't know. You get back to reality as soon as you can, and it's kind of like the first conversations you have with people is always hard. Everyone's saying good luck, and you're like, oh, thanks for reminding me. I'm trying to forget about it here, but I know it's hard. But if you're going, you win a match like that, the buzz and the kick you get afterwards is immense, and you kind of chase that as well, that feeling.
Because it feels significant Saturday, not least because Mick Bohan comes out after the game and is very non-committal with regards to his future with Dublin. It looks like it would be no surprise if he were to step away. I'm not sure what the situation is of some of the older players on the team, but potentially you could make the case that it does feel like the end of some sort of chapter for this Dublin team. Yeah,
you would have said that 2 years ago as well, and they went on to win the All Ireland. But possibly, like, it's too early to call. Like, Mick has been stepping away for the team for a couple of years now, and he's still there. And the same with all his management team. There must be 15, 16, 17 people involved, and a good crop of 10 of them have been there every single year. So it's not just Mick; it's the people around him that do the donkey work as well. And I think in ladies football in general, there's always a massive turnover of players every year. But you're looking at the bigger names and the older players, likes of Goldie and Sinead Ahern, who are kicking on in the years as well. Goldie is flying. She's more in the legs, but life choices and stuff like that come into play. So it'd be interesting to see what shape the team takes next year. But there's a good crop of players there. They've lots of experience. There's lots of learnings. There's always happening. So it's not the end of an era, hopefully.
Because Mick said it after last year, they were ahead of schedule when I think that's what surprised a lot of people. You referenced the Donegal defeat in the quarter-final the previous season, and then they come back and he bloods a lot of younger players, and I think people were surprised that they won the All-Ireland, and then the feeling is they just kick on, that they have these new stars and they obviously still have the experienced players. And you mentioned Sinead Goldrick, and I would imagine all that football she played in Australia has really, like, her conditioning is excellent, and she's just up and down the whole time. So that's probably why it was such a shock, I think, on Saturday night. We felt it was going to be close, but you just always kind of back Dublin to get themselves out of these tight situations.
Yeah, it is a shock. I think the whole country are shocked, and probably most of the country are happily shocked. And it's a wide open championship now. But I thought some stages of the game the girls looked tired. To be honest with you, Leinster Championship hasn't really been that competitive with Meath there as well. I know, the A versus B games in training are always tight, and that's, you kind of live off them in terms of intensity and getting you ready for matches. But yeah, you would have expected Dublin to use the experience of the old mixed with the success of the new girls last year. But yeah, I think, look, Dublin were missing Carla Rowe, Orla Nolan and Kate Sullivan yesterday up front, and they're players that know when to speed up the game, know when to slow it down. They're massive leaders. They pull the strings, like, they set up all the scores. And you would have said, yeah, losing one of them in the match, next man up, they can, somebody else's opportunity to be down three of them, three huge players, three guaranteed starters, was massive. And you saw that with Dublin's shot to score and even the free kicks as well. Kate Sullivan, Orla Nolan, Carla Rowe, they're all on frees on the right hand side of the pitch, and that was left to Jennifer Dunn yesterday, who's not an orthodox free taker. So that did come back down to bite Dublin at the end. But yeah, I don't know. You can't really rely on past experience to win the present.
It's a very good point. The semi-final is presenting us with a very interesting dynamic here, where Galway are obviously coming off this high of beating what a lot of people thought was the best team in the country. Cork, much easier win for them over the course of the weekend, beating Waterford. So what does that do in terms of how you're feeling about that side of the draw in terms of Cork versus Galway?
Oh, well, that's the match of the semi-final. That's going to be class. And I think Galway will be looking to kick on. If they can replicate the performance they put in on Saturday, they'll fare very well against Cork. But I think Cork are coming in under the radar. They had 10 different scores at the weekend against Waterford and should have hammered Waterford by more. Like, they were sloppy in front of goal. And Waterford got their first goal was against the run of play. So even though they won by 10 points, it should have been a lot more. But yeah, it's hard to call. I think it would be a good open game. I think both teams will look to go after it and play a lot of football rather than, you're looking at a defensive battle kind of with Armagh on the other side of the draw. But look, you want entertaining football. Anyone that tuned in to watch or chose to watch the ladies football over the Euros at the weekend, they saw a really good match. And though yesterday's Armagh match against Mayo was tough to watch, it was quite slow and quite defensive, but I don't think we'll get that in either semi-final. So Cork and Galway, I can't call it off the back of Cork or Galway's performance against Dublin and beating the reigning champions. But Cork look fresh. They look like a massive threat. And Kerry should come through on the other side.
On that point, Kerry against Meath at the weekend, you looking at it from a glass half empty perspective, i.e. how I was looking at it at halftime, I was like, not been a great first half performance, level pegging, and Vicky Wall is still yet to come on. Very, very surprising that after she comes on, Kerry actually end up pulling away from them. Is that just Kerry's fitness? Is that just greater conditioning over the last years, just being a better side? Or why did they manage to be so dominant in that second half?
Kerry are just a better team. Like, look, they can kick scores from everywhere. All of Kerry's 6 forwards are scoring forwards, whereas Meath rely heavily on Marion Farley and Emma Duggan, and then obviously they would have relied on Vicky coming off the bench, and I think she only got a point, which would have been disappointing for them. But Kerry are just far superior to Meath. They play as a team, where Meath looked like playing as individuals and, relying on one person to carry the ball up the pitch a lot of the time, where Kerry played together. I thought Ciara Butler in goal was magnificent. Like, Kerry's kickouts, they were just completely bypassing the Meath press and going long and getting scores off the back of it, whereas Meath couldn't win any of their kickouts. I think they won 2 of every 3 kickouts. Right. I think it was. So, Kerry are just better, and they'll be looking to find another gear. Like, they can kick on from that, because, like you said, it was quite a dull first half, but Kerry were kind of nearly going through the motions.
Do you have any concerns about the fact that they've lost back-to-back finals at all? Like, obviously, you mentioned there that they'll be strong favourites for the Armagh game. They're favourites for the All-Ireland at this point. Can they just, I guess, wash off that baggage now, given Meath aren't in the competition anymore and Dublin aren't in the competition anymore?
Well, it took us... We lost 3 All-Ireland finals in a row before we won one. So I'd like to say that it doesn't really have that much effect on you. But I think Kerry are a very mature team. They've a lot of very experienced players. And even in all different codes. Like, Lorraine Scanlon's plays a lot of basketball, highly competitive. And then you have Anna Galvin as well. And then Louise Muir-Hurtig up front as well. Like, she's been around since I can remember. Like, yeah. So that experience, and it's more maturity. I think that will be a massive weapon for them going into hopefully the final for them, because if anything, I'd love to see Louise Muir-Hurtig get an All-Ireland medal out of anyone in the country. But I think they're not. I don't think the losses will affect them too emotionally. I think it will fire them a little bit, but they'll be very focused in how they approach their games.
And turns out, from an Armagh perspective, one Mackin is all you need.
Well, this is true. Yeah, Brahim was fantastic yesterday. Yeah,
Brilliant, right?
yeah, really, really good.
So Armagh Kerry is the one of the semi-finals, and Cork Galway the other semi. So give us your finalists.
Cork Kerry, I think.
Cork Kerry
I
final.
don't know. I was wrong at the weekend now, but yeah, I think I'd like to see a Cork Kerry final. I think that would be the better match.
There'll be a bit of narrative to that. I'm putting you on the spot here, and it is only Monday. But if we look ahead to this weekend, to the men's semi-finals, it's obviously Armagh Kerry and that as well. That's on Saturday, and then Donegal Galway on Sunday. A few more days to come to terms with what you're actually predicting here. But any early thoughts on what the men's finals going to be?
I think Galway might come through. I think they're beating the Dubs gave them a little bit more belief. Any doubts that were there, they kind of quashed internally. The other side, I think everyone's money's on Kerry, but I wouldn't write off Armagh. I think they're quite a slippy team to come up against. There are moments in the game where they can just bag a goal or turn it around. But God, my father wouldn't be too happy if I don't back Kerry now.
Right, okay, that's quite important. But to be fair, there is Kerry connections in that Armagh team everywhere, so it's you can possibly go for either. Not many people expecting a classic, from what I'm gathering, between Kerry and Armagh this Saturday, but maybe we'll be surprised. Listen, Ciara, great stuff this morning. Thanks million for popping in. That's Ciara Trant, all-star goalkeeper.